Hello, my friend. I will be speaking to you today about border incursions or border disputes or boundary skirmishes, whatever you want to call it. They are about disagreements that arise from other people coming too close to our boundaries, or worse, going right across them into our inner space or into the safe spaces we experience as our own and that we very much want to protect from that kind of incursion, which we experience very easily as aggression or even as an attack, and at the very least as an unfairness. Oh, you think this doesn't apply to you? Well, it does apply to all of us, my friend, because we all struggle with the differentiation between what is us and what is other people, what belongs to me and what belongs to you. And there are many grey areas all the time, and there is very little space to share a lot of the time. We live in small houses and we do not feel as if we have sufficient space, and we often feel that we have to share too often with too many people. So we conclude that other people are rude and that they take liberties and that they cannot be trusted. But trust me, my friend, you are just the same. We all are. So, let's think of some examples. When the dog steps on my toes, I say, "Careful," in a reproachful way. I don't say, "Move away, darling." I immediately respond with a reproachful attitude of minding the safety of my toes and experiencing my dog, who didn't have any idea what he was doing, with this incursion into my space. So when I observe myself doing that, I start to think, why am I like this? And it is because I have learned to be protective of my own vulnerability. I know I get easily hurt and wounded, and so I want to keep everything at arm's length, except when I trust and I'm at ease and I have evidence that the other people or creatures around me are respectful of my sensitivity, and then I am happy to open my arms and welcome people into my space. But it's always done with great care. Now think about some other examples that come up when I work with couples. And of course, in couple situations and family situations, but also in work situations, these things happen all day long without us even noticing it or realizing how aggravated we become simply because we feel there is a lack of respect in this world of our safety, of our territory of our mineness, of that which belongs to us. And make no mistake, that happens in every kind of society. It's not about private property. It's not a political thing. It's a biological mechanism of protection of our own survival and safety. You will recognize the kind of disputes that can arise in families or in offices or just in couples with, say, the space that people take up in the fridge. It is a very good example because the fridge becomes the depository of the special foods and drinks that you have allocated to yourself, rather than to a larger group or to family members specifically, or to guests, or to the general sort of, supplies. When you have bought something special and you put it in what you think is your little special compartment in the fridge, and your colleagues use it or push it to the back or take it or put other things on top of it, this can react a very violent response, because it literally is as if there are two dogs fighting over a bone. But in this case, the bone is yours, and you know it's yours because you paid for it and you worked for that money, and this is a special thing that you want, and so you will be reactive when somebody is careless about it. And out of this, disputes can arise with these people that become worse and worse, because if another person is negligent about how these things matter to you, it's very easy to start disrespecting them or despising them for their lack of care and their lack of attention to what is yours. So making these distinctions between what is yours and what is mine, and what is shared and what is unowned and public, are very, very important in order to avoid getting aggravated by these kinds of border disputes. So it helps to monitor your own passions and to be aware of where you are particularly vulnerable about such things. And everyone has their own sensitivities about it. And there are some rules about these things. So if you haven't ever discussed these things with other people, never assume that they will get it right or that they can guess at what the situation is. Have conversations and explain to people what matters and what you don't care about and what you're easy about, and establish rules about what belongs to different people and what the responsibilities are that come with that too. Because this is the other kind of border dispute that will happen on a daily basis, where people have made discussions in an office, for instance, about different compartments in a fridge, and then you realize that there are some people who are not clearing up stuff they have in the fridge. So although they're not taking your things, they are not looking after the compartment that is theirs, and so there are things in there past their sell-by dates, and this too becomes a problem because it makes a stink in the fridge, and therefore that also affects your little territory in that fridge. So this employee problem is a very interesting one. I've had to deal with that many a time as a manager, because people are really sensitive. These are the foods they're going to eat to, on their breaks and to keep themselves going throughout the day. And they just cannot tolerate that other people don't take their responsibility. So once you have agreed what belongs to whom and how we are going to look after these things and what is fair and what is right and what is wrong, so we have some rules about it that we agree and we have debated, then it is extremely important that everybody sticks to those rules and that people are willing to take responsibility for their part in these things. And if they don't, never let your grudges build up, but bring it out in the open, have a gentle discussion with no reproaches, just to find out what is going on. And if some people do not actually want to use their space in the fridge, that's fine. Then they don't need to take responsibility for it either. Oh, you will say, why is she going on about fridges? Well, my friend, it is because that is just an example of how we share space with other people in our lives and how important it is not to get aggravated about it, but to understand that other people are also struggling with this and that they will often perceive you, yes, you, my friend, as an obstacle on their path. I know this well from dog walking. We get these border disputes with dogs all the time. Every day there will be some dog who's off lead and comes bother your dog, and there will be some days when your own dog gets out of control and bothers another dog. And it is very important that there are rules and mutual respect about those things, and that when they go wrong, everybody stays calm instead of exaggerating the importance of the situation or taking it into escalation so that it becomes an exchange of reproaches and accusations. This is how war starts, my friend. It is more important than you know to learn to recognize all these border and boundary situations and to know how you can keep your very close boundaries safe, but also to know how you can be aware of how you can safeguard in a gentle way and in a mutually understanding way, safeguard your borders and boundaries about your books, about the kitchen, about the fridge, about the road, about the garden and the hedges, and about the rules of when you cross people on public transport. These are all potential border and boundary incursions and aggravating conflicts that can persecute you all day long because you will compute them and put yourself down over them or put other people down over them, which then makes you feel helpless in the face of these bad other people. None of that is necessary, my friend. Just give it some space. Make some room in your inner world for reflecting on these things and accept that these are problematic areas in life, areas that are worth contemplating and keep awareness of, instead of trying to ignore them, deny them, and then go around life full of resentments and reproaches and despairing over how bad other people are. They're not. We all just try to make it work. So try to make it work for yourself and have a little compassion for when other people get it wrong, because we all do, my friend. We all get it wrong, don't we? Yes, I am often too sharp, and I try to mitigate it, and sometimes my sharpness is great when it is needed, and sometimes I use it deliberately, but I always try to mitigate it with fairness, with reflection, and with putting some space there between you and I, in which we can come to a respectful understanding of what is needed for both of us to stay safe and not to feel pushed around, bullied, taken advantage of, or disrespected. Pay attention to it, and you'll be surprised how many of your worries and troubles are related to these very simple things.